everybody, or afternoon, or evening, wherever you're watching from. I am Michael Goldberg, and welcome to the LinkedIn Live Lunch Hour. Today, we've only got a less than 27-minute window of opportunity here because my guest is not only a fantastic person in her own name and what she does for people, but she's a mom and a wife, and her dear, sweet husband took the children for just a wee bit so that I could have my very special guest, Reena Friedman Watts. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
So excited to be here.
It is nice to have you, Derek. I can't hear her very well. So, well, that is good. Well, thanks so much for being on. And I know we're kind of just going to jump into it. When for those of you who have questions, definitely hit the like button, the share button, and then tell us where you're watching from and how we can, how we can help. So, Reena, let's kind of start off with the a little bit about you and what you do. Can you give everybody a little tell me about yourself answer?
Sure. Well, I believe that there are just a few degrees of separation between me and the person who could blow your business out of the water. So I help entrepreneurs get seen through building community, getting them on podcasts, getting them endorsements for the projects that they're working on. I love building community, and I'm a social media aholic. Are you still with me?
A community aholic? Is that what you said?
A social media aholic.
Oh, a social media aholic. Yes. But you're also a networkaholic, a communicataholic, all good aholics. And right, if we're looking at this, it's all good aholics. So, well, today we're going to be talking. I know when we had kind of talked, and I appreciate you coming on. I'll just tell everybody she did me a solid, came on last minute. But we're going to talk about um, having conversations in the workplace and honesty and how to have those good conversations. So let's kind of start off with the basic question. Do you feel like today that even in the COVID times, pre-COVID times, that managers have these more what we call candid, crucial, difficult conversations?
I just know that I have worked for companies where there were definite elephants in the room. And as someone who was brought on as a new set of eyes and someone, middle management, I tried to first, tell the director of sales, then, network with people at my level. And I'm like, hey, if we're working for the subsidiary and the parent company has the same customers, how come they're not sharing those resources? And the director of sales is like, if you ask that question, you're going to get fired. And I'm like, well, it seems so obvious to me. If we're going to the same trade shows and we're going after the same people, like, shouldn't we all help each other? And I just feel like today, shouldn't we be able to, if you have the good of the mind and for the company in mind, shouldn't you be able to say things like that? Like,
you should be as open as you possibly can. Derek, I don't know if you see this, but someone put bad echo. Yeah, I'm looking into that. All right, so we're looking into that. Sorry about the echo. So that was my voice. So when you have these conversations and right, and so like I brought a book from home, right? We've all read this, right? Great book. The pages are brown. I mean, that's how old. I forgot what year this was, right? But what's the mastery behind having upfront conversations before like performance reviews or um, getting sat down to say, hey, look, you screw up one more time, you're out, right? So how do you coach people? How do you coach organizations to have those real conversations with their employees?
right. That's something that I've had a hard time honestly navigating. And as an entrepreneur, I feel like there's less bureaucracy where you can just have those conversations and communicate with your clients. And your end goal is to be able to help your clients and to be able to be that second set of eyes and to be able to help them grow. And you're communicating with less people usually.
What so when you're focused on um uh, as an entrepreneur, well, we can talk about it as an entrepreneur because I know that we as entrepreneurs all have very honest opinions and honest conversations with our clients. I don't know about you, but I'm not afraid to turn down a client if I don't see the value and how much they're interested in bringing to the table. So, how do you have those like what would be a conversation if you were to tell me, look, hey Michael, sounds like a great opportunity that you need my help on, but I just don't see it. I don't know if this is going to be where I'm at. How do you like walk me through an example of how you would have that conversation with me?
Well, I actually have had that conversation because someone from LinkedIn joined my Facebook group and they were like, wow, you have a very engaged Facebook group. I would love to make you a referral partner. You tell them about my coaching program and I'll give you X percentage. And I was like, well, I've never done your coaching program. I don't know how you do business. That's very flattering. And, thank you so much for noticing all of my hard work. I'd be happy for you to drop your coaching services on my Promote Anything Friday, but that's not really how I operate.
I think and what are the reactions of those people after you tell them that?
Well, they've still been active in my Facebook group, so I guess she didn't mind it too bad.
Yeah, like I'm finding myself like, and I'm sure you get this a lot. Um, Maybe even for your podcast, Better Call Daddy. We haven't talked about that yet, which we will. Um, but have you been getting just a lot more? Like I'm starting to look at the connections that I have or connection requests coming in, and if I see Bitcoin, certified financial planner, anything in their headline, I don't connect with them because I know what's coming next.
Right.
Right. So, are you seeing more of that? If so, are you careful about who you get those, like when you get those types of connection requests, kind of what comes next and how you kind of
I'm still okay with some of the financial advisors, but yes, I have worked in that industry and I know that there's a pitch coming. But I mean, it's funny, even realtors do it too. Like last night, I reached out to a realtor friend of mine. I was like, hey, I spoke to someone last night and he's in your area. And she was like, oh, really? Is he looking to relocate? I was like, no, we were talking about podcasting. So some of it is giving people the benefit of the doubt. It's just the industry that they're in and maybe how they operate.
Yeah, I think it does depend. I think it does depend. So around being honest, do you think that there is more or less, like, have you been able to gauge, and I don't know if you have insight into it or not, but do you feel like people have been more honest with one another, whether you're a job seeker, an entrepreneur, a working person, a manager, those kind of things, right? So have you found that people are being more honest in this time of need, where people, we have all these different things happening, which we don't need to rehash?
One thing that I have found for myself is that I feel like before COVID, I wasn't as comfortable saying, hey, I have a sick kid, or hey, my kids are home doing school. I don't take calls really during the day, like, unless you're special like Michael Goldberg. But I feel like people are a lot more comfortable just saying, I don't feel well, or, I've got kids that I'm, juggling as well. Sorry, that time doesn't work for me. I mean, I feel like people are stronger in saying no than ever before, or saying that doesn't work for me, which is nice. Like, I hope that that's the new normal.
And your kids are all under the age of what, 12?
Yes.
So I can imagine you're doing a little of this. Are they of school? Are a couple of them of school age, or because I
Yeah,
know you're
3 of them are on Zoom school right now.
Zoom? So they're all on Zoom school, with probably no end in sight. And I know that COVID is bad in Chicago right now. It's bad in the upper Midwest. Period. All the Great Plains are pretty much. It's bad. So. I think, and I appreciate that, and everybody should take a meeting with me when I call, right? Uh, so, um, especially when I'm calling in a favor. So, I think that part of the struggle has been, and I've talked about candidate. You've seen my post on candidate experience, and how people are juggling and managing tasks. But it still goes back to, do we know if companies are being as honest as they possibly can to furloughed and non-furloughed employees, well, furloughed and active employees, about the state of the company? Have you heard? Are there town hall meetings happening? Are there, what are companies doing to communicate and be upfront and be honest?
Right. I am really interested in what you've seen on that, because, there's a lot of workplaces that preach authenticity, but can you really tell your boss when you see holes? Can you really tell your boss, like, hey, I think we should try this, even though it might cost a little bit more? Like, it would make the product better. I have been in workplaces where I've made suggestions that, it might cost a little bit more, but I definitely thought that it would be worth it. And they're like, oh, let's just try the free version.
Right. So, well, and that's what you do. So, I would say that, from the employees that I've talked to that I know are furloughed, and that I know that are working, they are trying to be more communicative in delivering news and updates. There are plenty of furloughed people that appreciate that they were marked as furloughed, because they're still getting, well, they're not getting paid, they're still getting benefits. And the companies are smart. They're going, look, if you need to go find a job, we completely get it. We don't know when we're going to be able to come back, right? We have no idea when we're going to be able to bring you back. I know people that have been furloughed, brought back, and then furloughed again, which I think's a pretty bad mind mess. But at least they're doing that. So I would say, to answer my own question, yeah, I have. I was just curious if you're having conversations with some of these folks to see, if just to what you've heard. What are some of the big hot buttons for you when it comes to having candid conversations? Like, what's important to you?
Well, with my clients, I try to be direct. I've had to deliver bad news before multiple times, and I try to deliver it in a way which they know it's not personal. I want to keep my clients happy, but at the same time, I want the work that I'm doing for them to be the best that it can be. Sometimes it's very hard to deliver bad news and for your client to be happy. But one client, I was trying to get her an endorsement, and I reached the person that she wanted an endorsement for, and they didn't want to endorse her. So that was tough. But then I was able to get her another endorsement that she was really happy about. So, you're going to get no's. Another client, I was supposed to help her with a website, and she was really happy with the blog posts I was doing for her and her profile that I was helping her with. But the person that I referred her to for the website, she didn't like their work. She liked the logo, she liked the color scheme, but she didn't like the website that they designed. And that actually ended our relationship because she didn't like the referral that I had made. So that was a really hard situation to navigate, actually.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have done more upfront, showing her that person's work, but I felt like she was happy with the little bits that she had gotten. Sometimes you just aren't going to please them in every regard, and you know you have to cut your losses. So you gotta do research into who you're working with as well.
Yeah. And so I saw that Jim D'Amico, who is the director of talent acquisition at Celanese, he said that 87% of his LinkedIn Connect is he wants to buy a franchise. Yeah, I get those too. So Jim, whenever you're ready to go in business and buy one of those franchises, I'll do it only with you, sir, because well, it'd be your honor and mine, of course, too. But so let's I want to dive into the other half. So full transparency to everybody, Reena helps me connect with great people. And I made a pretty big testimonial for her several weeks ago. And it was that she really taught me about purposeful networking and has set me up. I've got the list of names, Reena, I promise. I just finished it and cleaned it up. So I'm sending it to you today. But I think it's like 25 people, of which, I'm still waiting to hear back from some folks. But for the most part, I've made my networking and my connection acceptances more purposeful. Agree or disagree with my strategy as my coach helper?
I think the gold is really in the DMs and getting to know people. And it is time consuming, but hopping on a 30-minute call, hopping on a 20-minute coffee, sometimes those even turn into an hour. But if you do that and you remember who these people are and you remember what's important to them, then you can connect them with the right people and they can be useful in your network for you and them.
Absolutely. I had a great conversation today with one of your referrals. And why am I blanking on his name? I have no clue. But he was, hold on, I'm going to tell you because now it's bugging me. But basically where is it? Sorry, folks. Sorry to see the top of my, it was Nick Wagner from Cigna up in Hartford, organizational development. And you were spot on. We hit it off perfectly because he's writing a book. I'm going to have him on my show the first Tuesday of the new year on January 5th. But those are the kind of meaningful connections because you're not, even though you don't have recruiting experience, you really take the time to understand what it is that I do and who I need to be talking with. And I just appreciate that so much from you and what you do. Because I do feel like it's a new me. And so props to you. And so I guess, why should people be reaching out to you? I just kind of I'm watching the time too. So help me understand, why people are reaching out to you and how you can help them.
People that usually reach out to me are too busy to spend the time on the phone or on the Zooms getting to know people, and they're looking for more meaningful connections, more qualified leads. They need help building relationships, building community, and I love doing that. And I have a huge Rolodex because I've been doing that for a long time. And like I said, I remember what people do and who they want to connect with, and so I help them with that.
Have a real Rolodex, like old school Rolodex, like
yeah. My mom made me one of those when I got married, but no, LinkedIn is
classic. Your mom gave you that?
Oh yeah.
Jewish mother. What else could a Jewish mother give her daughter for her wedding? He a darling. Here's a Rolodex. Mom, it's the 90s. Palm Pilots, Blackberries. Hello?
She handwrote everybody's name and address and contact information that attended the wedding. And you can imagine I was the first daughter. There was like 200 people there. She did that for everyone. I'm like, God bless you. And what they gave me.
Oh yeah. No, my late mother-in-law did that too. God bless her. She had this huge Rolodex, and you could find anybody, and it was from her and her late husband too. You could find anything and everything in that Rolodex. So anyway, I had to give. I just was curious, but everyone thinks, well, you can have the Rolodex, and you can have the connection. So you see all these, what I'll call wannabes that. And they know who they are. You know who you are. That will post stuff to say, "Hey, want to get more connections? Start here and tell us you want to connect." And so all these people it's just a big connect fest, as our friend Adam Posner likes to call it, potting and trolling, right? So people shouldn't be doing that, right? I mean, what's your thoughts on connections on LinkedIn, and is bigger really better?
Definitely quality over quantity for me. And I have to say, I have connected with people one-on-one for like the last 5 or 6 years, and I'm only at like 10,600 something connections. And that's plenty for me to manage. And I love going back through messages with people. I could spend 2 hours literally just going back through my last 200 messages and just following up, scrolling up, seeing how the conversation began, seeing, what we originally connected over, and can I check in on what they're doing now?
Yeah, I mean,
so much that goes into the nurture.
Right. So, for example, if you're, and this is mainly for entrepreneurs, right? One of the blessings when I was introduced to Reena, been through Adam. It was through somebody. I forgot how we got introduced, or Lila, maybe.
One of those. Yeah. Love them both.
Probably one or both. But I had this one post that, just went completely, well, we can call it viral, right?
Yeah, for sure.
100 and whatever thousand views. And Reena's strategy was connect or at least acknowledge the people who have taken the time to to comment or like, and connect with those people because they took the time, but thank them for liking that post. And that's a good strategy from not only an entrepreneurial standpoint, but really from more of a relationship building standpoint, wouldn't you say?
I do that even if I get 30 comments or likes on a post. Every single person, but maybe it's because I have the time to do it, or maybe because I like doing it, but I do it on Facebook, I do it on Twitter, I do it on all platforms. If somebody takes the time to write a comment, I will then send them a message saying, "Hey, thank you for writing a comment on my post about Maayan. She's awesome. Tell me about you."
Absolutely. So let's, in the 4 minutes we have, let's talk about your podcast. The name of the podcast, different, but I like it. It's called Better Call Daddy. So, and I listened to your episode with our very close friend, Kristen Sherry. And I just liked, and I've also, I look forward to when my podcast comes out, because it talks a lot about what you don't just do is just dive in like we're diving in. You actually spend the first 30 minutes getting to know me. You ask questions about my family. You asked really, really good questions, so that when it came time to talk business, and I had thought at this point, I think we're winding down. We're definitely winding down. And it was election night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was election night. I was like, do you mind if we bump the call a half hour? I need to go vote really quick. You're like, go do that. I can't believe you haven't even done that yet.
Yeah, what the hell? So, we decided, we were a couple of pops in, and we were having great conversation. So I'm thinking the conversation's over, and then all of a sudden you start going, "Well, let's talk about your business." I'm like, "What?" because, you know, I'd enjoyed telling you my story. When I talked with Nick, you know, he wants to understand my career journey and how I got to, you know, move into the entrepreneur. So I look forward to discussing it. But I like your interview style. So, but what's the show about? Super quick.
The show is about that I started my career in television, kind of working in casting, and my dad always wanted me to have a show of my own. And so I'm like, all right, if I'm going to put together a show of my own, I'm roping you in and you're going to do it with me. My dad is my wisdom source. He's who I call all the time for business advice. He ran a company for 40 years. And so I interview guests of interest, cut that down, edit it, share the story with my dad, and then he gives his advice. Better call daddy.
Yeah. And that's cool that you can lean on your pops for that, right? I'm still waiting for his number because I still have many questions. Many questions. When you say better call daddy, well, okay, let me talk to Mr. Friedman. Yes, please, let me talk to him. He and I would have some things to talk about for sure. So how do people get in touch with you?
LinkedIn, Reena Friedman Watts. Same on Instagram, Twitter, Reena. And yeah, or Reena at bettercalldaddy.com.
Yeah. So where can people find you on Spotify, Apple?
All the major platforms, iTunes, TuneIn, iHeart. I think iTunes probably counts the most, but you can even listen to all the episodes at bettercalldaddy.com.
And give me a little promo. When's mine coming out?
It is in the edit.
Yeah.
And
okay,
you know the editor.
A month.
Yeah, probably.
No, that's all right. Well, hey, I know you got to go back to mom and caretaker duties, teacher duties. But I really appreciate, please thank your husband. What's your husband's name?
Will Watts.
Will?
Yes.
Will Watts. Now, if that isn't a stately British name, hello, I'm William Watts. Please thank him for giving his half hour of his time to let you come on and be my awesome guest. And I know that I hope you'll be a guest again someday. I hope you enjoyed this.
I did. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. So everybody, it's been a good week. We've gone through some ups and downs, but the focus is forward, right? Focus on what you can control. Try to do something. You only fail if you don't try. Communicate. And if you want to, have Reena help you out, reach out to her. She responds pretty quickly, and she's also up at all odd hours of the night because she elects to work from 6 p.m. on. So thanks again, Reena. You are amazing, and I appreciate you sharing with everybody how to have success stories, your podcast, and everything. So wishing you well, wishing everybody well. Be safe, wear a mask, and God bless.
Thank you.